Art talk. Fuck yeah. So I've been staring at this illustration for what seems like an eternity. It's probably been like a month and a half, maybe 2 months, which is honestly still an insane time to be spending on a single illustration. It's called The Prince of Colors. The main character is obviously this white-headed, red-bodied monk child god of the cosmos or whatever. And believe it or not, this is, I think, the third time that I'm making this illustration. I've done some versions before. I went really far with them, went to like 80% completion, almost finished, and then I just didn't feel it in my gut. My brain was saying yes, but my heart was saying no. And I just said, fuck it, let's start from the beginning. A lot of people, a lot of normal people, rightfully have said that I am insane. That is insane. It is insane to almost finish something and then just said, you know what, you say, fuck it, I'm doing it from the beginning. The problem with me is that I am a perfectionist and I'm always trying to make something that is going to be perfect, and perfection just doesn't exist. I mean, that's pretty much obvious at this point, you know. It's unachievable. You can chase it, but you can never catch it. It's just out there. And I have to accept that, but that doesn't mean I have to just accept every single thing that, you know, I do and just say, okay, that's good enough. Besides being an artist, I'm also a selfish prick. And to be perfectly honest, if I'm making something that I don't like, then nobody's gonna like that. That's just my opinion. You know, I make art primarily for myself. And I know that, you know, if people like it, if people are enjoying it, that's great. That's awesome. That's like the cherry on top. But the main person that needs to be happy with what I'm doing is myself. Are there times where I'm frustrated, where I just want to put my fucking fist through the computer screen and just destroy this whole fucking thing? Sure, you know, obviously. But I know this is gonna be like the best goddamn fucking thing I've done in a while. Now, I really want to talk about some of the color choices and the style for this image. Because the color choices, I mean, it's no secret that I'm a big fan of sort of autumn colors, you know. I really like reds. Red is my favorite color, obviously. I like oranges, yellows, browns, even though brown is sort of like the color of shit, but whatever. And I like to contrast them with sort of pinks, with purples, with blues, with greens, obviously all these colors that are on display here. And I really like the challenge of mixing them and almost trying to mix colors that shouldn't mix and then making something out of it, if that makes sense. I haven't really decided what I want it to be. Do I want it to be like really realistic, or do I want it to be more cartoony? Or do I think I'm gonna go with something that's in between. You know, I know I'm in the middle of working on it, so which is kind of crazy that I'm still deciding on the style, because I don't know, it just looks interesting, you know. It adds to this sort of otherworldness or otherworldliness. It's something that I've been struggling with for a while now, the style, but I think it's coming along. I think it's going to be pretty fucking banging when it's done. The most challenging aspect of this image, besides the colors, trying to find the right colors and everything, is the characters. This is the most complex image I think I've done in a while because of the amount of characters that are on display. Now, they're not very dynamic, and that's a problem I'll address a little bit later, but they are sort of design-wise. I needed to like design pretty much like every single character, every single creature. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I needed to make all these characters, you know, and I needed to make them compositionally, I needed to make them work in a way that it doesn't overwhelm the viewer when he's looking at it, you know, because this can very easily become just like a clusterfuck of too many characters and it just sensory overload. You just like fucking like your fucking brain just starts melting when you see this shit, you know, which that would be, honestly, that sounds kind of cool, but it's probably not, you know. You're gonna get a seizure, which is not good. So I'm trying to like find a nice balance between, you know, having a lot of characters and also trying to keep the image a little bit, trying to give some space to the image, you know, give it a little bit more breathing room, I should say. And every single one of these characters has a backstory, including the main character, you know, the Prince of Colors. All of these characters have, and the creatures, of course, they have a backstory. I've noticed that my brain sort of goes into this like double shift mode where as I'm designing or coloring a character, I'm also at the same time coming up with a backstory for them, which is kind of weird. I don't know. You would expect you come up with the backstory first and then you start creating the character, but for me it's almost kind of like reverse. You know, the only thing that doesn't have a backstory as far as I'm concerned, is the fucking like volcano that's spewing, you know, rainbow colors. That one, I don't know what, you know, it just looked cool. I don't know. What do you want from me? But I don't want to talk about the backstory because I want people to make their own stories and their own interpretations as to what they're seeing. Because on its own, this looks like a fucking, hopefully it doesn't look like too much of a clusterfuck, but it's definitely like one of those images that's like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is happening? You know, hopefully you're gonna say it's rendered nice. You know, it's colored nice. It's designed nice, but you're not gonna know what the fuck is going on story-wise, you know? And this is sort of, I guess, the two sides of my brain where I'm trying to make something that's very abstract, very sort of out there, and then the other part of my brain is trying to make sense of it, is trying to explain it, you know? Oh, this is that, this is, you know, whatever. You know, looking at it, like I said, I've been looking at it for a while now, working on it for a while now. There are definitely things that I still think need improvement. Mainly, I think the improvement needs to come from making the characters a little bit more dynamic, sort of more dynamic posing, I think. You know, they look nice. I'm not gonna say anything about that, but the criticism I have heard from a lot of people, and it's well founded in my opinion, is that my characters tend to be very static. You know, they look good, but they are not very, I don't know, I guess in movement, and that sort of becomes a problem, you know, because you want, at least I want, my characters to be more than just pretty images. I want them to, you know, feel like they have a life of their own. And I'm not saying that these are, you know, the design-wise, I think they're pretty nice, but they could be more dynamic, definitely. Another criticism, I think, is that my images just take too much time to make. It is challenging, of course, and you want it to look good. You want it to, you know, you want to take your sweet fucking time with this, but at the same time as you're making this, you also want to finish it, because this is like the scope creep of this, you know. I am getting a little bit tired of doing the same thing over and over again, and I do want to make my process a lot faster. This is kind of one of those weird things, but like the quality I don't think is going to decrease. I think it's going to stay the same thing. I just need to find a faster method of making this shit, you know. So more dynamic characters and faster art process. I think that's the thing that's sort of holding me back, or I guess. I also don't want to be completely stuck in this style that you're seeing right now. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. You know, my memory is really bad, so I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like the thing that really inspires me about these images that I'm working on currently, or these illustrations, is H.P. Lovecraft. I really want to combine sort of psychedelics with this cosmic gods, cosmic monsters type of concept. I think it just works very well and looks really nice, I think. So, final thoughts, honestly, on this son of a bitch. It looks great. Obviously, I'm biased, you know, because I'm the guy who's making it, but hopefully this is gonna be like the final version. I don't know what I'm using for the video recording, so you might be seeing like a completely new version that's being made. You know, maybe like some sketch work or some shit, which that would be fucking crazy, right? Insane. But I think this is gonna be the best image I've done. This bitch is gonna be banging, baby. That's what I'm thinking. This is gonna be one hell of a fucking image. So fingers crossed I finish it as soon as I can, and then I can just fucking flood the internet with this shit, because I'm just gonna be posting it everywhere. No, I'm kidding. I don't give a fuck. But it's gonna be good, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So bye bye.